All right. Joe Becker, Andy Bertram here. Dan Cater.
Here.
Scott Gergen.
Here.
Lisa Hedin.
Here.
Russ Roloff.
Here.
Vince O'Brien.
Here.
Hey. Here.
Oh, hey, another side. Superintendent Collins. All right, I cut that off of my
Column number 2.
one of those fancy little iPads. The phone doesn't cut it.
Before we take care of approving the agenda, just a quick moment to reflect and memorialize that we lost a dear member of our community this past week with Kirk Johnson. And he touched so many lives in such a great way, and we all miss him, and so many people in the district, current and past, miss Kirk tremendously. And we wish the best to Camille, to Bree, to Isaac, and all his loved ones in moving on. So,
Well said. Thank you.
do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're good. Motion to approve the minutes from February 24th, combined with the March 18th special board meeting.
I'll motion. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up, a motion to approve the bills payable.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and now we can move on to some good news.
Yeah, and before we even get to the good news, I want to thank you as board members. My communication's been a little sloppy. I was on vacation and came back to a whirlwind of events, and thank goodness Deanna didn't take any vacation because she's been involved in parts of that whirlwind. And even today, we had people contacting us about leaves, potential retirements, resignations, and so I was debating whether I put those on or not, and they can just wait till the April board meeting. So again, I thank you for your patience on that. And with that, yeah, great news. We've had a great winter, and we'll bring in the high school wrestling team first.
Hey.
Hey.
What do you want, us over here?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Right up front.
trailing right along.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look
Right
at
up
you
front.
mature, these seniors.
Ready?
Hey.
Yeah, we're ready for you.
Okay.
We know that you can speak very well.
Well, I go fast, we'll see.
Yeah.
So my name's Josh McClay, I'm the head wrestling coach here in town. This is Mark Veit, one of my captains, senior captains this year. Our team took fifth in state, had an unbelievable year. The team that we beat in the consolation semifinals beat us by 20 points, and we beat them by 23 points for that match. And it was an unbelievable turnaround in the same season, so we were proud of that. We got 14 place winners in the section tournament this year. So every single kid plays. One of my favorite stories is a kid that started wrestling last year, Joe Michelle, four-sport varsity athlete, because he plays soccer and kicks for the football team. Came up for wrestling last year. That never happens where you earn a varsity spot on our team 1 year later, and he does. And he wrestles the whole season, wrestles great, and he was a part of the team that hung the banner in our wrestling room. So it's a pretty cool deal, but it was a good experience. And our team GPA this year, I always like talking about that because the kids just do a great job on and off the mat. 3.7 team GPA, a point and a half lower than last year. That was a state championship academic team, but really good group of kids, and the grades just show it as well. But just the leadership of Mark here and Austin Eichman was just incredible. They really led this group of kids the whole season, starting last summer with their summer training all the way through up into through football. Most of my wrestlers play football as well, and then right into the season. And when captain's practice started, they really got on these guys about this is our expectations. We really want to be a team that hangs a banner our senior year, and him and Austin got it done this year for the team, and was really impressed with their work.
What are your plans next year?
I'm going to play football at St. John's.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be a finance major there. So.
One of your brothers went to St. John's, JP, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so John Paul rests up there. Their defensive coordinator, Novak, is married to a Mace from Hastings. So small world, he was the wrestling coach up there for his brother.
Okay.
So I kind of got a little pipeline now, so but it's pretty neat. So.
Gosh, who wrestled the Apple Valley?
That was Austin Eichman, and so he wasn't able to make it tonight. He beginning of the year, he goes, you know what, coach, I know the team needs me at 170, and he goes, I don't really want to cut weight this year. I'm like, that's fine with me. And he goes, I go, that's where Mark Hall is, right? And he goes, I realize that's where he's at, and I would like to shot at him. He's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to beat him. He's the best kid in the country. But he goes, be a state finalist and to get to wrestle him in the finals would be a pretty cool opportunity. And for a kid that to actually succeed and meet his goals was pretty cool. We ended up with 4 all-state wrestlers, and it was just a great year all around for the team.
The other thing about your team is that whenever you guys travel somewhere, people always notice how you guys behave. And maybe we take that for granted, but we appreciate you guys and you guys for how you guys behave, how you carry yourselves when you're at these tournaments and go through these things. It really represents Hastings well.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's what we're all about, is making good young men, and it helps having great captains like Mark and Austin Eichman. So we're fortunate to coach kids like this, and they do their job and we do ours. And it seemed like just a couple years ago I was sleeping in the hallway, so it's done a full 180 from that. So.
A new dynamic for you too as you coach your nephews.
Yes, yep, and maybe you've seen the stories about my nephew Lyndon. Lyndon's got cancer, and he beat it, and then it relapsed just recently. He's actually just got to do a round of chemo yesterday. So bummed he was able to make it to the banquet last night, which took 4 hours. With a long one. Good season.
You didn't talk very fast,
I know,
did you?
seriously. And then so he's been doing good, and he's fighting that again, which is a bummer, but he's a tough kid and he's a battler. One cool thing for me was watching him come back this year and how quickly he did. And then when Lyndon would take his bumps, his brother was the next weight class. So he would go out there and something would happen, and he'd go out there and really step it up for the team for him, which was really a neat thing.
And I'm sure you get no advice from your sister at all, do you?
Oh my God, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
A little bit.
We've got you on
Unpaid assistant
on
coach.
film right now, so we're waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, she's a good big sister. So.
No, but just to close by what Vince said, and we've said it every year, the respect, the expectations, the desire to win, but accepting defeat and is life lessons. And I was fortunate to be up there this year, and as you know, that's very tough when you've committed your whole season and then you get beat. It's tough to handle that in a very mature, controlled situation.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate that as a school board and superintendent and all the work that goes into it.
Thank you. I tell you, that's one of the toughest things as a coach is Mark was an all-state wrestler last year and fell just short of his dreams this year of repeating. And for the coach, the kids, when they don't reach their dreams, like you said, it's a heartbreaker, and that makes it tough. But I told him that, he's an all-state wrestler forever. He's already done that. And the fact that he got it done as a senior captain, to have his team place, means, exponentially more. And just the way that he carried himself and he led the younger guys on the team.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for showing up tonight as well. I know it was tough after 4 hours of last night. You were, you were like, here we go again.
Still had his tie on.
Thank you very much, and good luck at St. John's. You'll do very well. All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. No, yours won't update?
Right up front so you can get on
All right,
Hastings Cable Television.
there you go.
He keeps hiding.
I thought you were on the side.
Oh, all right, so I'm Jerry Rupp. I'm the head coach of the boys swimming and diving team. I have some guys here that went to state for us this year. We placed 7th place as a team. Top 10 finish was really a surprise for us. We were I was hoping for a 15th place at best, and they came through with a top 7, so that was pretty neat. The guys I have here tonight, Jack Van Zee, senior. He was involved in 2 relays and also 2 individual events at state. He made All-State in actually all 4 of his events, the 2 individuals, the 200 and 500 freestyle, and also the relays. Cole Scully, he was involved in 2 of our relays that made All-State. Cal Gergen, he was also in both relays that made All-State. Jack Willen, he was also on a relay, medley relay at place 14th. Did a great job for us there doing a butterfly leg. John Rupp, he was also on a relay that placed 14th in state. So we had a good season. You know, we ended up a record of 6-2. The 2 teams we lost to was St. Thomas Academy, who of course destroyed everybody in single A, and the 3rd place team, Simley. We had a real close meet with them. So it's a good season for us. We returned as section champions. That was another goal for us this year, and they were able to achieve that. One of the guys that's not here, Vova Tipler, broke a 40-year-old diving record dated back to 1976, and he didn't just beat it, he crushed it. He broke it by 60 points. And then he continued on. He's defended his section championship now, 3-time defending champion in diving, and he went on to state and had a little mishap on his second dive. He hit the board, kind of a scary moment for all of us, and but he recovered from that and ended up placing 8th in diving, so made an All-State again for his 2nd straight year. So it was a good season for, you know, all around for the guys. You know, we were kind of the under the radar all year long. Nobody knew about these guys, and they really tapered well at the end of the season, and you know, had a good season for us.
And what about, didn't we have some section coaches of the year too? Huh?
Yeah, we did.
And who were they?
Well, Brianna Ness was section diving coach of the year, second, I think, 2 years running, or maybe 3 years running now. Katie McAlpin was also the assistant coach of the year for section, and I was the section coach of the year. So we made a clean sweep of all the coaches' awards. And it's really kind of cool to get that, because, you know, it's nice to get that award from your peers, because all the other coaches vote on who gets the award, and to know that you get the award really means something to us, because we know that we're doing our job and we're getting these guys prepared for what they need to do. And it's really a reflection of what they do, because they swim so well at sections, and they had such a tremendous meet, battling back from behind by 29 points and ended up winning the meet. It just shows that the coaches recognize what these guys have done and what we kind of put into it. So it's a neat honor.
Seniors, I don't know who, I know there's at least a couple seniors in the group.
These 4.
Okay. What are your thoughts next year? Do you know what you're doing, or are you still thinking about it? Let's just go down the...
Yeah, I'm swimming at UW Green Bay next year.
He signed an athletic tender also. He had an athletic scholarship at Green Bay.
Any ideas what you want to study, or are you still determining that?
No idea.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm stuck with a handful of schools right now. I'm between UW Stevens Point, McKendree University, and Lake Forest College. And just like the colleges, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to study either, but something along the lines of business or finance.
Okay.
I want to go into engineering, and I'll probably end up at either St. Thomas or the U of M.
Okay.
I'm going to St. Olaf. I'm going to swim there, and I plan to study either chemical engineering or computer science.
He has to come back for 2 more years of high school.
Well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing,
Yeah.
yes. He's still eligible, so that's good.
Congratulations and thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much again,
It
Jerry.
was nice to see you up there, by the way.
Yeah, well, I was sweating so profusely. Is it always that hot at the state?
Yep.
It is.
I mean,
3,000 bodies in there.
I was about ready to pass out myself, and what was interesting to me, because I'd never seen I've been up there for, you know, Drew Johnson, I've seen him swim
Sure.
up there, my good friend.
Right.
But I'd never seen the diving competition before. And it was interesting, the divers who had to make up some ground, in their last dive or two, they were willing to do anything, even if it meant a belly flop, because
Oh, yeah.
they were willing to take that risk.
Well, and it's interesting too, because they have an 11 dive list that's already pre-scripted, so they know what they're going to do. But a lot of times, us old salty guys, we always call it the bonus round, because they're out of good dives, and then they get up there and just wing it.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can hang on to something. You know, and that's another thing you brought up there, Vova's last dive. I've been saying all year long.
I was going to ask him about that.
Yeah, he is the only guy in the state of Minnesota that's thrown a front 3 1/2 somersault, and I guarantee you next year he will be doing a quadruple. I mean, he's that close. He went over on his 3 1/2. So with a little bit more board work, he could throw 4 revolutions, and you can't even count that.
But that was,
Yep, that was 4.
that was an interesting part of the competition because other sports you can't really take that gamble, so to speak.
Right.
But in diving, you're like, what the heck, I'm gonna go for it, and if I don't complete it and I do a flop, so
Well,
what?
and you think about diving too, the mental toughness. In his second dive, he had a bad takeoff, and you typically want to go away from the board. His takeoff was towards the board, and so when he was up in the air, he literally was still over top of the board, and we all thought he was going to hit his head. And he just is such a tremendous athlete. He had that, awareness of where he was in space, that he tucked his head just enough to get past the board, kind of scraped his back and the back of his legs, but he didn't hit his head on the board. And then to come back from that, his next dive to score 7s out of 10. That's an incredible athlete in any sport, that mental toughness to be able to do that. So it's fun.
Well, and as you know too, because you were one heck of an athlete in your day, what I've noticed even in the last 5 years, the athletes, their commitment and their dedication and how they just continue to get faster and stronger, it is just unbelievable from where it was even 5 years ago.
Oh, exactly. And these kids, what they put in year-round in their training, 2 hours, 4 hours, weight training, plyometrics, all sorts of different stuff that was never even on the map 5 years ago, and now they're doing everything they can to try to find that extra edge, and like you said, the times are getting so unbelievably fast. You always say, when's it going to end?
Yeah.
And it continues to get faster and faster. And these guys here, they had such great swims, and just keep getting faster. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, and thank you for representing Hastings very well. Much appreciated, and good luck to you 4 seniors. I don't think you're going to need much luck. You've been very dedicated and committed already, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Families have been dedicated to that. Yeah, it was a good time to get him his license and not have to get up at 5 in the morning anymore. So that was all right.
Fire chair?
Oh, yep. Fight and health. The Pam and Pete Show.
Yeah.
I don't know if one's coming up at a time or if you're doing it together or. Okay.
All right.
I think everybody knows Pete McGinnis, but you're on TV, so I'll introduce you as Pete McGinnis and just here to share a little bit with the school board.
Excellent. First of all, thanks for having me in. Just kind of go over our staff here. Mickey Atkins, who's kind of moved around a little bit. She's here at the middle school. Becky Hartung, Jeff Hoffman, myself, Sherry Matson, who does our adapted, Jim Rohr, who's FIAD, and then also the athletic director, and then Russ Welch. So that's kind of where we're at there. I don't know, as far as the division head here.
Oh, do you want me to do it for you?
Sure, that'd be great. Just kind of threw in a little something here as I was doing some research. One of the things we really try to impress upon our kids is, talking about movement, and with our class, and I'll go through a little bit later here, but just basically talking about, the relationship of, working in school and how it relates to the movement that we're doing in class. So, and we do talk about, how the brain is developing and how kids can improve and, down the line, obviously try to lead a healthy life here. So, you can kind of forward that. Just kind of some we've talked about as a department, but we came up with this one. Physical education is the only subject which, by the very nature of its content, has the potential to affect how a person will feel every moment of every day for the rest of his or her life. I really believe that, we talk about, and the kids are taking tests and stuff, and they come to our class, and we talk about their parents, how, oftentimes in a business meeting or something, things aren't going right, they can't think, and whether it's they get out for a walk or get out for a run, and how it really relates to that, help them understand how just by moving. 5 physical education teachers we have. We have 1 health teacher. Currently, Mickey is doing the health. For 5th and 6th grade, the kids have a trimester of health. They every other day for a trimester. 5th and 6th grade, she's really kind of focusing on the social emotional health. The 6th grade is spending more time with nutrition, living a healthy life, and again, kind of covering everything with that. Average class size, we have 30, but range from 11 to 40, depending on what hour and how things fit in. 5th and 6th grade classes are co-ed, which I think has really worked out well. The 6th graders have done a super job as far as being role models for the 5th grade. So we were a little leery at first, didn't know how it would work, but the kids have really worked together well. 7th and 8th grade classes, most of them are separate. We do have some that are together, but with different activities that we're able to do. Again, we find that in some situations it works out well, and some it doesn't. We have 4 fitness classes, and I really believe that this has been a great deal for us for this year. It's brand new. Mark Zuzik has allowed us to implement a new program with kids, and so the 3rd day of FIAD for these kids, they come to work with them. Becky Hartung wrote up a nice grant, and we received that here through the foundation, and we've utilized that with our equipment that we use with the kids, and we really don't play any games at all in class. It's fitness. We get them moving right away. They know the routine as far as warm up, and our whole goal is to help the kids become stronger, quicker, faster, get that extra workout in, and the kids love it. They've really taken to it, and we've tried to be creative as far as in utilizing the space that we have downstairs. So it's really been an exciting thing for us. So you can go to the next one there. In a 3-day cycle, we'll see 450 students, and it's a lot, but it's exciting. 70% will have PE 2 of the 3 days, and that fluctuates there depending on if they're coming out of a different class. 15%, roughly 15% will have it 3 days, and 15% will just have one FIAD class. Now, kids obviously are in music and some of the other classes, so they're not have the opportunity to do that. Mostly with the same teacher, but some will have 2 different teachers. I think when we first started going through all this, it was really interesting, and a lot of growing pains with Mark, and just trying to figure out kids. It's hard to believe kids will still come down and say, "Do I have you today, or do I have so and so?" So it's challenging, but they figured out. Typical day in class, you come down to middle school FIAD, and it's interesting. We were talking about second hour. We have a lot of kids in class, and it's with the space. A typical day, we'll take attendance quick, warm up, students come in right away, we get them moving, get them in a nice dynamic warm up, and then we'll work on a certain skill. I just finished up archery class with the kids, and so we were still able to do a warm up and then go down, work on shooting, and then we'll do different activities with each unit. So that's kind of basically a typical day if you were to walk into a middle school class. So next one. Units, we basically go about 12 days with the kids. The kids that have it 2 out of 3 obviously will have more days, but soccer, football, tennis, basketball, swimming, fitness testing, and then so forth down the line there. The one thing I really do like, and you can see on the right side, 2 units of swimming. We have the kids in the pool quite a bit, and I think if you go to the next slide, actually it's not on that one yet, but with the swimming, our younger kids, our 5th and 6th graders, we have over 600 kids in the pool, and we were talking the other day and trying to figure out roughly, and looking back at the notes, we probably have about 10 of those kids that we don't feel comfortable that can get across the pool. And before we started that with the swim program, with the YMCA coming in to help us, it allows a teacher like myself to work with the younger kids, or the kids that are struggling in the shallow end, and then she can take the advanced kids and work on some things with them. So it has really been a plus, and I know through Mark, I just appreciate what he's done and you guys to support us financially to help the Y come in. So it's been good. So a typical grading with the kids, standards, we do, the kids are graded on active participation, warm-ups, sportsmanship, positive behavior, and social interaction. Skills tests, again, we'll pick a certain skill that the kids can demonstrate to us while we'll practice, and then a written test and knowledge of the sport. So just really making sure that kids are well-rounded and understand the whole process.
Can you walk me through, like, if I have you for 2 of the days, and then I have Jim Rohr for another day, how do you explain how you do that with grading then?
Yep. When we first started out, we just ended up exempting the student when they had him for the second day.
Okay.
Because if we were doing the same subject, we have different views on where we're at. We do sit down occasionally and go through a list of kids that we've determined that have different teachers. So we'll talk about, you know, how's this person doing in your class? Where are their needs? Where are they struggling? You know, it might be effort, activity. And so we'll talk about that. It was really difficult at the beginning, and to be honest with you, it was frustrating. But we figured it out, and the kids have taken to it too, so they know. And we've had very few phone calls or emails, you know, saying, hey, why is my kid getting a B in this class and an A in this class? You know, what are they doing differently? So,
Okay, thank you.
So if a kid's taking fitness, do they get a separate grade for fitness?
correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's a separate. That's all.
Excuse me.
Okay. The grant for the fitness equipment, like I mentioned, through the foundation, you know, that's allowed us. You know, it has really been important to us to impress upon the kids, and more kids. When we started out, the numbers were a little lower, and so we picked up kids, and I haven't had a kid drop class. I have not had one kid come up and say, hey, I can't do this. And you know, the way we gauge it and the way we keep track of what they're doing so they can see their improvement, we're trying to put confidence in these kids and, you know, understand that they're changing, their bodies are changing, but for the right way. Okay, so that's good. Facilities. As I was driving over today, and if I could talk about one thing, facilities has been the number one thing. And I realize, obviously, that this was in high school. But if we take a look at the outdoor fields and the track, you know, the update on that, you know, obviously that's getting older, but with the track being redone, the tennis courts, kids absolutely love tennis, and going over there when you've got the 8 courts that you guys have put the money into to give us that, what a great opportunity for these kids. 3 gyms, you know, there's plenty to do. We see close to 200 kids like on a second hour alone. And so we have that many kids, and we have 3 gyms. We have downstairs the archery, the weight room, and the wrestling gym. That's really helped as well. But again, by far, it really impresses on people. I know when people come in for tournaments and stuff with basketball or whatever it is, you know, we'll get parents that really compliment and say, geez, I wish our high school was this nice. So appreciate that. And then again, I just, as we talk to the kids too, you know, about obesity and how important it is to keep this class going with childhood obesity is now the #1 health concern among parents in the United States, topping drug abuse and smoking. I think when you read something like that and say, you know what, movement's important, having kids understand. I was reading the other day, said the average person running a marathon is 35 years old. And I look at that and I'm thinking, wow, that's, you know, it shouldn't be that high. It should be, you know, kids should be more involved in that. So. The mile 2 times per year. We'll do it in the fall and the spring. Students in grades 5 and 6 will swim, like I said, 8 to 16 times. I think that's a real highlight. That's a real tribute. Students in grades 7 and 8 will swim between 4 and 8, depending if they have the 2 classes or the 1 class. And again, our whole goal with a lot of things, but is to prepare them for the high school with the human performance class and get them ready for that. So, and that is all I have. Vince?
With imposition of the staff development stuff at middle school this year, have you guys worked on the backwards, and I keep using the wrong, I call it backwards design.
Explicit design.
Explicit design.
Explicit design. Yep.
Have you guys been using some of that on the different
We have, and
modules?
what we found out is that we all teach differently, you know, with the terminology and stuff, and so it's taken a while. Joe and Justin, the 2 assistant principals, have been great. They've been coming down and helping us out during those days and kind of pushing us forward, and it really has. And I always think about this, you know, as a teacher and as a parent, and there's always another gear, and let's go find that next gear, you know, rather than let's step back. So there's all different ways to do things.
Cool.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for your time and taking the time to come here tonight and bringing our program to another gear.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Say hi to our ex-board member.
So you want to know who's sitting in their seat. So.
Pam?
All right, I'm up, I guess.
All right.
Well, I don't have a PowerPoint, so.
That's fine too.
I just, I'm kind of just going off the cuff here, you guys, but I have my little notes and I'm pretty proud of this. Well, thank you for having me. I'd like to say that first. Excited to be here and show you all the good stuff we have, but this is a copy of our course guide. Beautiful course guide, I'm sure you've seen it. firsthand. I don't know if you want to take a look through there, but it's something that we're super proud of at the high school, and pretty much promotes all of our classes. Okay, and then this is just kind of my little, I don't know if I have one for everyone, but just sort of what I'm gonna just talk about today. But I think the biggest thing that we're proud of at the high school is how many students come into our gym throughout the day and throughout their 4 years at Hastings High School. And thinking back, just when Pete was talking and being a part of the old high school and just seeing the transition that we've made from where Fayette was, 10, 15 years ago to where it has come today has just been huge. I mean, it's awesome. And the kids have a different outlook on it. Your continued support has been phenomenal. I mean, we couldn't do that without you, just believing in us and giving us kind of a little leeway as to how we can get kids more excited about just staying fit and what they can take, throughout their, elementary and middle school and high school career and use it lifelong. And I think that's just been huge. We've seen so many different kids with so many different success stories. It really has been truly awesome. And to be a part of that, I think is really neat. So, just kind of going along here, some of our goals as our department at the high school is just believing and role modeling what we teach. We're active. We show the kids that. We get in there. We teach them things. We want them to believe that if we can do it and we stay, somewhat fit and want an active lifestyle, that they can have this same thing too. And it they ask us a lot of questions. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do that? Why do you run? Why are you running? And it pays off. And it's good to see, that they have someone that they can role model after. Just changing their attitude toward fitness. When they come in as ninth graders, we've kind of changed our philosophy. They pretty much put on a heart rate monitor every single day. And we work out of what we call an individual fitness-based program. Just to throw the ball out and put kids on a team is not really been too successful these days because a lot of kids get deterred from that. They don't want to compete because if they're not good at kicking a ball or shooting a basket, then they shut down and they don't want to participate. But if you can give them something individual and say, put this heart rate monitor on, wear a watch, strap this to your body, look at what you're doing with your heart rate, they can all individually succeed based on their own body type. And it has just been, it's been awesome. And it's not just running, we do circuits, we're in the weight room, we set up stations on the floor, we're in the wrestling room doing, different lifts. They have a base in 9th grade that carries them through 10th grade, and then we offer 4 or 5 different elective courses. There are kids that are in the gym for 8 semesters in their high school career, and it's just been great, and our numbers are going up, and just word of mouth. And the transition piece over the last few years was a little tough. About 3-4 years ago when we started this, just coming in saying, oh my gosh, what do we do in 9th grade? We don't just play games anymore. Well, there's a course for that. We have our own course where if you just want to play games, if you put the work in 9th and 10th grade, then you can see that, maybe course as an elective down the road. So that's an option. Just kids who just want to lift weights is an option. The Spark class, some of you have come in the morning. It is the talk of the town. I mean, it's kind of our driving force. And these 9th graders will come in and they'll stand on the track in the morning at the high school and they'll just watch and they're just amazed. They're just amazed. And then 2-3 years later, we see them in the same course. So it really has taken off. But we just want to, and with this technology, stay current, because that's kind of where the times are now, and for the kids to see what they're doing and get immediate feedback has been really nice. And just keeping, developing more courses. Now kids are asking, can we just have a yoga course, or can we just do this? And you know, it's kind of funny, it's like, well, we can't just implement a course right away, but they've got all these ideas, and can we just do this, or how about just a volleyball course for the whole entire year? I would love that, by the way, but anyway, maybe that's down the road, but it's just getting them talking and engaged. And some of the goals we have for them is just to be active and participate. Probably about, I want to say 5-6 years ago, we would have kids come in who just didn't dress. They just sit there and they'll take the 0. We just don't have that anymore. Just don't have it. They come in, they dress because they know they're not going to be, you know, having to be pressured to play a sport or an activity. They can just do their workout, you know, based on their particular body type, go through the circuit as best as they can, and they see results. You know, we ask them to be in a certain heart rate zone on the monitor, and they're there. And it's just like, look at the end, look what I did, you know, and it's just, and they're competing against each other, you know. So that's the neat thing about that. And then, you know, just to see that immediate feedback right away. And parents love it too. They just, you know, think it's neat that they can come home and share those kinds of stories with them on a daily basis. Look what I did today. You know, during conferences, you know, I'll have parents come up and say, yeah, my daughter cut her mile and, you know, 3 minutes faster just with all the work. And it's like, really? I didn't even know that they went home and shared those stories, but that's been really nice to know. What we're most proud of is just our dedication to our program, giving the students constant feedback. I'll show you our technology here in a second. And then just the courses that we offer basically could fit every student's needs at the high school. Okay, 9th and 10th grade, they put the heart rate monitors on and they do workouts in the weight room, the wrestling room, on the floor. They run, they do circuits, things like that. We do give them game days. Some days they wear the heart rate monitors and play the game so they can keep themselves in the target heart rate zone. They know they have to work maybe a little bit harder. So that's been really a plus for us. And just, you know, the competitive lifetime sports, that's for the student who just wants to play the games, all right? They may not want to run. Then we have a lift class where they spend 90% of the time in the weight room because those kids just want to lift. They don't want the games, they just want to lift weights. So we teach them a routine, they build their own routine. They learn different core lifts, things like that. So it's been pretty successful. And our numbers, like I said, speak for themselves. So yeah, and just the feedback we're getting from students is just word of mouth, and you know, kids are helping each other out in class on a day-to-day basis. Oh yeah, I've taken this course before. You know, you group with kids that have maybe been there before, helping out new students. That's been really nice. Facilities, I can't say enough about our facilities. We've traveled probably to 3 different high schools this year, probably 5 in the last 2 years. Our weight room at the high school is state of the art. We've been to 3 college campuses and they can't even compare. You know, we went to Eden Prairie about a month and a half ago and we walked in their weight room and we were like, really? This is your weight room? So we just know we're doing and getting the support for just bigger and better things, and that just speaks for itself. It's an icon right when you walk into the high school. So that's been awesome, and the kids get to use that on a daily basis. Kids are coming after school to make up Phy-Ed class that they have not missed. Okay, I don't really know that 20 years ago we'd have done that. Okay, it's just Phy-Ed. I'll take the 0. I don't need a makeup class. Now they're coming in because they want that good grade in class. They're getting the group of friends together. We make them put on a heart rate monitor after school. They make up their time for 25 minutes. They get their points back. So that has really been nice. You know, and they take advantage of that time. So, and then just wanting more courses. They always ask, can we get that unit? Can we have a net unit? Can we play badminton for, you know, we have a volleyball badminton course. So I don't know, maybe in the works, but they've been talking a lot, so it's been pretty neat. And then again, just, you know, your support has been phenomenal. I can't speak enough for that. But let me just quick show you this is what the student will put on every day. They have a number, okay, and they all have their heart rate monitor when they get into class. So they'll grab their number. It's also how we take attendance. So when number 1 is still in the pocket, we know number 1 is gone, okay? And they snap it right onto this heart rate monitor strap, and they wear it around their chest area there. That's always, that always gets kind of, nitty gritty there, but it's good. It's been really positive. And the best part about this is once they get hooked up on this iPad, they have these, and I'll pass this around. Every student in the class shows up on this iPad, and then I project it onto the wall, just like that. So everybody can see, including myself. So when they're running laps or doing a circuit, they're constantly watching this move up and down, showing what target zone they're in. And the screen will change color based on what zone you're in. So if you're in the gray, that means you're dead, you're doing nothing, okay? Then when you move up to the blue, you're getting closer. It's probably about 50% of your heart rate, and we want them to be in a 70% or above. So when it gets to orange, then they know, hey, I'm looking pretty good. All right, actually it's green, I'm sorry, green, and then orange is a little bit higher, and then red is 90%. Maybe a little bit too much, but somewhere in the green 70 to orange 80 is where we're asking them to be during their workout. And it will time them. Okay, so like this is the end of a class, and if I say, for example, if I say, okay, no, your screen has to show 20 minutes in your zone after a 26-minute workout, so there's like a 6-minute leeway, so you don't have to be in the zone every single minute, because I know there's some downtime. When I stop the screen, that's what will project up there, and that's what they see. Yes, I'm in the zone, 20 minutes, or I can be done, I got to 20 minutes. So it's really been awesome. And then I can individualize that. I can click on each one, and it will give me a breakdown of every second that they spent in that zone. So that is what we got our grant for, to purchase that, and it's been great. No watch, they don't have to mess with buttons, it's all right up there. And we still do use the watches, because this is just one set. So we utilize everything we have, we switch off. Boys might have the watches one day, girls will have the projector system. So yeah, and it's been great. I can't speak enough about our numbers and the kids that we're keeping in class and getting more interested. And I'll have students come back a year later and they just want to come run after school. And these were girls that I could barely get a heart rate monitor on a year ago, and now they're just running for fun after school. So it's kind of where we're at. It's been awesome.
Do any of your Uber athletes take the technology and try to use it for really advanced training, like that VO type stuff and the maxing out and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the funny part about the really fit kids have a little bit tougher time getting in the zone. Right. And they complain about it because, well, we're fit and that's not fair. Well,
because their resting heart rate is lower.
Yes, exactly. And this is geared more toward the average student. If I could give every student one of these and program the specifics to it, that would be awesome. But that would be just maybe $1 million more. I don't know, But for the most part, yeah. But I always tell them, I say, would you rather be the one that's in that boat, or would you rather be the one that's, struggling to just take 5 steps? Yeah. So, it really, I don't know, the super athlete will try to, outdo or,
trick it out.
But for the most part, we sometimes, there's always a little bit of a gray area that you have to kind of take into consideration too, where I'll have girls come up to me who are just dripping with sweat, and they may only get in the zone for 13 out of that 20 minutes. Miss Tomic, did you know I was working? I'm like, well, I don't know, you're 7 minutes short. But yeah, I did know that. So, but you'll always have kids like that. So, So yes, but, I don't know, I just always say, keep working, just buy your own someday and you can, you know, program it to yourself and go with it, so yeah.
Well, I definitely know as superintendent and some of the veteran board members, we've definitely become aware, or I've seen the transition take place. Whether it be with Spark, or whether it be for me, I get the opportunity to just walk through the high school and look down.
Sure.
And I can see the change.
Yes.
And some of these individuals who have had students go through the program and or have been around, they've sensed that change, which has been a combination of the use of technology along with lifetime fitness.
Yes.
Not just playing the game.
Right.
And we've seen students get turned on to that. And you mentioned the Spark program at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever time, the fact that you can get a high school senior and
Yes.
junior to go work out and then go to their classes and then go to their sport, or maybe not even go to a sport, it's truly amazing.
Yes.
It's intriguing and it's motivating. And so hats off to the entire team who had to work to get to that level.
Yes.
Because I know it's tough to bring a team to say that we need to go this direction.
Right.
Just one more point, because summer will be here before we know it, but your Raiders Express program, I know my two older sons have gone through that. Well, one is a
Sure.
senior and the other one is still going to be in it, but just a fantastic program.
Yes.
For doing, and you can still be in a sport over the summer and
Right.
easily commit to being in
Right.
the Raiders Express program as well.
And I do think that was part of the reasoning for Spark, was because a lot of kids couldn't take an opportunity in the summer, or they didn't have time, or whatever the case, the cost, I'm not really sure.
You don't
but-
have a parent to drive you in.
Yeah, and that's
Or drive
another
you
thing
home.
too, exactly.
That's
And now
transportation.
having it offered during the school day, they will get up and come if they, you know, they'll make it work because it fits in their schedule. I mean, if I in high school, or maybe any of you could work out during the school day, I mean, that would be awesome, you know? And then get a credit for it. And then see results and make it work toward your sport or your activity or whatever, or just for fun. A lot of kids take Spark and aren't even in a sport. They just want to lose weight or something like that, and we've seen so many kids with success. It's just been unbelievable. Miss Dombeck, I lost 26 pounds over the course of the last year and a half, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's been great. So.
Well, thank you, and thank you to your
Absolutely.
team.
Thank you. I mean, without your support, it's been great. Mike has been our buddy the whole time, yeah. Keep believing in us, yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for your
Absolutely.
time this evening as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
First reading of policy 421.
No, yeah. I was talking with Joel before we came into the meeting, and I forgot that Joel, you know, you're always looking at policies, but there was a reason why we had to look at our staff recognition policy and our expenditures policy, and I forgot that Joel was not aware of why we've had to go through that transition, because he came on as a board member after the fact of what the rest of us, I mean, we're always looking to change our policies, but definitely this past summer, there were some reasons why we had to look and dig in and look at our expenditures and policies a little bit deeper. The staff recognition policy that you have before you, this is the first reading, and then we'll come back for approval at our next board meeting. We as a committee had met and we had tried to add other things to this. We definitely wanted to try to include on there that on the awards night, academic scholarship night, that the district could help pay for food to individuals who gave scholarships. We had on there, you know, the senior class picnic, those types of things that we as a board felt that the community would be okay with. And we sent that list to our attorney, and the attorney came back and said to us that no, those things won't meet the letter of the law as far as what you can spend on for food, et cetera. So our original draft under D, under other recognition, was where we tried to put 5 or 6 other things that we as a committee had looked at. And he said, no, that's not going to pass the test. And some of his rationale was, what would stop you, Tim, from then serving steak and lobster at that recognition? What would stop you from serving a $30 meal, et cetera? Do you want to get caught in that? That's part of the reason. So we did add just recently, and we haven't, we sent it off to our attorney just a day or two ago, item D, asking him to look at, in the event of a current employee should pass away while they're working here, can the district send flowers on behalf of the school board? And so we're awaiting that, and we'll hopefully have an opinion on that before our next board meeting. So in the end, it came back to pretty much straightforward what we had been doing in some of these other areas. And so I don't need to go through it verbatim, but for the Hastings cable television, can you guys focus in on that close enough for, okay. So the viewers can see a lot of it ties back to our staff recognition at the end of the year and us having to state publicly what do we give to a member who's been with us for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 45 years, et cetera. And this is the way of doing it. Approving the policy at a public board meeting. And this, it does meet the requirement because you're giving somebody recognition for a service that they've provided for you. So that's one of the qualifying guides. So I don't know if you as board members have any other questions about it. So we'll look to add this then to our agenda in April and approve it at that time. And I'll let you know what our attorney says about the other recognition.
If there's anybody watching who's in the legislature or works for one of the legislators, this is absolutely ridiculous. Comes out of a decision called the City of Brooklyn Park and a state auditor's office investigation of some expenditures from that city. And basically the rule of law, which was promulgated by that, not enacted by the legislature, but promulgated by that auditor's report, is that if a school district or public entity wants to spend money on something, it has to be established by statute that they can spend money on it or they can't. So if we want to treat our honors students to food at the high school, following the City of Brooklyn Park promulgated decision, we can't unless the statute specifically allows us to spend money on students who have maybe earned the right to have some money spent, a reasonable, you could craft a statute that would allow for expenditures for reasonable recognition of students and or community members who donated stuff to the school district. And the fact that this has become a rule of law in the state of Minnesota is a little absurd, because it's not talking about wasting money. It's just setting up a rule of law that prevents common sense expenditures like coffee for people at meetings. It's just kind of ridiculous. And so if anybody has anybody with a tie to the legislature who can work on setting up some statutory, specific statutes that would allow for reasonable recognition of student achievement or community members related to the school district, and it could be worded very reasonably, then we'd be able to do that. And until that sort of thing happens, because of that City of Brooklyn Park thing, we can't. So.
And if people don't like what it's spent on, they can vote every few years.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Sorry.
No. Yeah, and I think that reflected a lot of board members' feelings. We were caught between what statute said and what we felt was common sense that the public would be okay with. Because you do represent the public, and you 7 are the ones that would have to go back to the public and say, yeah, I'm okay with giving National Honor Society a chicken salad sandwich and pop or whatever. I mean, because you would be the ones, like Andy just said, that would eventually be held accountable if you did buy steak and lobster. But what usually happens is policies get set up for the one or two that abuse it, so that then everybody else has to follow it. I'm not going to go through in great detail. I'm going to pass out. We're going to go through this a little bit more at our work session. But this isn't a policy, so it's not that we have to approve this. But this was definitely one of the goals that you gave myself as a superintendent to work on our revenues and appropriate expenditure, guideline district-wide. So then, of course, I use my position to say to Kim Fry and Jen and Deanna, I've got this goal, let's work on it, so dig in and do a lot of the work. But we don't necessarily want it to be a policy, we want it to be a practice and guideline, so as we can look to change it and adopt to needs that come up throughout the district. But one of the things, so for the viewing public, it's basically just doing what Vince said, that we as a board are saying, here are some common procedures and practices that we believe our staff should follow. Can Tim Collins go to a meeting and have lunch if the meeting lasts 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours? Can Mike Johnson or Mark Zuzik, what can the expectations be if we go out to a meeting? And Deanne, I'm going to have you, just because I know they can zoom in on it, go to the second page, examples of inappropriate. And so just for the viewing public, just to go through some of what we as a board have been talking about, is administrators can't take district funds and buy some gift cards and give them to employees who have been doing outstanding work. Alcoholic beverages, tobacco, lottery tickets, you would think that you shouldn't have to put that in a practice guideline, but we found in some surrounding school districts there's reasons that you do have to do that. Again, staff on staff meals. So what that means for the public is I can't call up Matt Esterby, Paul Baker, and Kyle Latch and say, hey, it's a beautiful day out, let's go have a meeting at Applebee's, and over that 4-hour meeting, I'll buy you, we'll have lunch and the district will pay for it. So part of my purpose for showing this at tonight's meeting is to let the public know that the board has been working on these guidelines. We are outlining it, and we'll set those expectations out for everyone. And at our work session, which is just next Wednesday, we'll pretty much walk through this line item by line item, so you as a board understand what we're saying to all of our employees as well. But again, because we're on Hastings Cable Television, I want to let the public know that we do our due diligence to carrying that responsibility forward. And I'll just say definitely for myself as superintendent, until I started looking into the statute and until Kim started reading it to me, I've been a superintendent for 22 years. I never knew some of this because I just felt, hey, it's okay to go to a meeting for a half an hour, and not that I did it that much, but to me it met the common sense rule. But then as you read the statute and the expectations, you're like, okay, I need to follow that law, and we need to get these practices in place so that all of our employees know what the expectation is. And definitely this year, as we've been in administrative meetings, we've been going through this with some administrators, but until you as a board say that this is the way it's going to be, sometimes it still gets questioned, is all I'll say. So at our next work session, we'll go through this in great detail. I don't know, Deanne, if you have what I went through today if you want to put that up there right now.
Yep, if you're ready.
Yep. I'm not going to ask as a board for this to be a motion item tonight. I know that all of you as board members know about this. We will take it through as a motion item at our April board meeting. Vince has been out all day today. He was at two meetings this morning at the elementaries. He led the high school discussion this afternoon because I was doubled up. I wanted to make sure that all of our employees had at staff meetings were able to see what the proposed reductions were going to be. And so I'll walk through this with you, and then I'll walk through with you what the next steps are going to be. I shared with that originally the board had given us a target of $700,000 of reductions, and we had great news in our budget. Our budget improved because our self-funded health insurance improved. We're doing fine. And our committee, which Andy and Scott sit on, along with 4 teachers, food service rep, and a secretary, said, no, we don't have to go to the 6% that was in the 5-year projection. We can go to the 4% and still save some money in our self-funded insurance pool. And so because of that, our budget improved by $100,000. I'm hoping that you're going to, I think that's a motion item
After
tonight.
this, yeah.
And so that was great news. And so what that means then, instead of the principals and the board having to make reductions of $700,000, it was now $600,000. Then combined with that was the fact that we've had some teachers, secretaries, et cetera, step forward with retirements, resignations, and leaves. And all total, that savings is right around $196,000. As I said earlier, we still have some other people that have been talking to me in the last couple of weeks, so that number could change. And so when you deduct that from the $600,000, some more good news for the district. That means then that the administrators and I had to meet with you as a board and come up with $403,000 in recommended reductions. And at our April board meeting, this is what we'll be proposing, and in May, the names will be attached to these reductions, and we can wait till May for the names. 2 elementary teaching positions, a lot of high school secretaries that resigned and or retired, and so Mike at the high school making a recommendation not to replace them and to restructure. I shared at the middle school that we knew that going into next year, with or without the board saying we needed to make reductions, that there was going to be 1.2 FTE reduction anyway, because our 5th grade, a smaller 5th grade, was moving to 6th grade, and so we had 1.2 that was going to naturally happen anyway. And also then, I said at the middle school it's a little bit more complicated. You can't say, well, there's a 5th grade teacher being reduced and a 6th grade teacher being reduced. It's a combination of a little bit of FIAD, some language arts, a little bit of math to come up with that 2.2. Also at the middle school, we had some secretary restructuring of about $10,000. And then the middle school after school program, it's not necessarily just the OASIS program. It's Saturday school. It's maybe part of the food budget. We just got done talking about food. We can serve food in the OASIS program, but limiting what we're serving in that to come up with that $20,000. And I said that for board members, this is the most painful process. Board members and administrators never want to make reductions. They don't want to reduce staff. They'd rather be adding staff. But board members have a responsibility to try to make some reductions to protect our budget in the future as well. And that also, as a school district, we've still got great news because our class sizes are not going up substantially. We're still able to have our class sizes almost right where they're at. And in fact, Mark Zuzek at the middle school presentation today, he shared with his staff that as we have 5th grade coming through with lower class sizes and the remainder of the restructuring and cuts, he doesn't believe that teachers will notice any difference hardly in class size for next year at all. At the elementary, I was able to say the same thing, that in 92% of our classes, the class sizes, unless all of a sudden we get 20 kids come in at a certain site, should be relatively close to where they're at. And when we've compared as a board our class sizes to surrounding districts, we're very, very competitive and low compared to those districts. So that the board continues to want to try to keep the cuts away from the classroom as much as possible. But at some point you can't do that. But that, as superintendent, I feel that that happened again this year. And that I'm also very fortunate, and that we're fortunate to work in a district where the board says, well, wait a minute, Tim. You said 403,000. You're $20,000 short. Get me another $20,000. And that you as a board said, no, that's okay. Close enough is close. It does count, and we're not going to force you to make that 403,000 that we said, in the previous meetings that we've had.
Within the margin of error.
It's within the margin, and that we as employees of the district are fortunate that we've got a fund balance where the board can make those decisions. So we had very limited questions today and yesterday when we went around, very, very minimal questions. I think one of the main questions, and I'll shoot you one or two of the other questions that we had at the sites. I'll shoot that as an email to you, but one of the questions, and it was the same question that you asked as a board. So the individuals that will be non-renewed and will have to be looking for a job, when will they be told? And I said that our target goal was by this meeting that they would be told, and in one or two situations, depending on if they weren't here on Monday or on Tuesday or Wednesday, it might be Thursday. But that we wanted everybody to be brought in. I was able to talk to two of the elementary principals today to see if they had met with all their teachers, and by the afternoon of today they had. I was able to walk back with Mark Zuzik, and he had met with all the teachers at the middle school and had that conversation. And I shared that when we hired 3 of our elementary teachers mid-year to replace Dennis Rickard, Diane Rickard, and Cindy Johnson, we had told them up front that we would non-renew and they could look to reapply. So they knew that up front. Some of the conversations too with a couple of teachers are outside of these reductions. And you know that as a board, that's the difficult responsibility of a principal. They have to decide, hey, maybe you're a great teacher, but you're just not working out at kindergarten. Maybe you're a wonderful teacher and you're doing great, but your 4th grade or 5th grade is just not cut out for you. I really believe you do better at 2nd grade, but we don't have a 2nd grade opening. And so those are some of the tough discussions too. But you as a board wanted it, the administrators wanted, I wanted to let people know by now so that they can start looking for another job, because that's what all of us would want in our profession as well. So what'll happen is publicly now, the public knows through Hastings Cable Television. We might talk about putting it out in our next e-news, and then at our next board meeting, you'll be approving, or I'm believing that you'll be approving the list that I went through up there, and then in May we'll come back with the names of those individuals. And I like that we can wait for the names of the individuals, because some things may change between now and then, as some people may still decide to accept a job somewhere else as well. So that's my part of the superintendent report.
Good work. And the attitude of the teachers who received the message in all the sites was very positive. We have a lot to be proud of in our district, and this is a way of life for us while we have declining enrollment. But the message is, the glass is way over half full, and the message is very positive about the quality of the education that we're able to deliver throughout the system. Next up is a motion for sale of general obligations school building refunding bonds. It's a roll call vote. Does anybody want to make the motion?
I'll take a little bit of, this is where I slipped up a little bit. I probably should have shared some information with all of you as board members on this. And Kim, you can hop in because she knows this better than I do sometimes. But this was the Build America bonds There's different types of bonds. These were the bonds when Obama became elected president. He said that he wanted to spend money back on the economy. And we were one of 10 or 12 schools in the state of Minnesota that were awarded the $19.25 million bonds at 0% interest, or within that range. And part of it, when we got it, was also the Build America bonds had a little catch to it. Kim, I think twice a year, has to do some major calculations.
Well, it's not major. We just have to request reimbursement of the interest.
So it's some steps that she has to go through. All school districts hire a firm whenever you go out for bonds, because firms know how to legally advertise for the bonds, the timelines, et cetera. And there's 2 or 3 major firms, Springstead, Ehlers, I can't remember the other firm, and we've been going with Springstead ever since that I've been here. Springstead called Kim and I about 4 weeks ago and said, we do think it's time that you look to, you can refinance these bonds and restructure them. And they watch the market for us. It'd be a savings about of $150,000 to $180,000, Kim.
Yep.
And of course, what happens is this is just the first step of you as a board saying, yes, let's move forward and look to refinance these bonds, reissue these bonds. Springstead doesn't believe that we're going to save much more money, because every month that we wait, there's less amount of chance to save money. So they're saying, we've analyzed this, we think you as a board should go forward. So you would make them approve the resolution tonight. Then at our next board meeting, we'd be hoping by then that we'd get good feedback on the bonds, and we'd get the $150,000 to $180,000, and that we'd bring it to you for a vote to say, yes, let's save our taxpayers $150,000 to $180,000 on the BAB bonds that were a pretty good deal to begin with. Did I say that all right, Kim? So, looking for,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And then we need a roll call.
All right, Joe Becker,
Yes?
Andy Bertram, yes. Dan Cater,
Yes.
Scott Gergen,
Yes.
Lisa Hadeen,
Yes.
Russ Roloff,
Yes.
Vince O'Brien.
Yes. And next
Tim doesn't get
up, a motion to increase the premium for self-funded health insurance by 4%.
I'll motion.
Second that.
and again, on that one, it ties back to our projections were at 6%. We've had a year and a half of some healthy news and some good news for us. And as Andy and Scott know, because they sit on the committee with me, we've met our targets, even at 4%. We believe that we're going to be able to keep building our fund balance a little bit in the future. And it was unanimous in our committee. Teachers, board members, myself, Kim, secretary, food service said, bring it to the board at 4%.
Wow. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And a motion to increase the dental self-funded by 2% for the next school year and for the 17-18 school year.
I'll motion.
Second.
Any-
Yeah, again, dental isn't as volatile as health insurance, and we've been doing fine there as well, but we just felt the 2% and 2% to increase where we're going a little bit more. And so I going in was probably guessing or hoping that it would be 2% and 0, but our committee again was unanimous on this, that it should be 2% and 2% to make sure that we have a protective fund balance for the future.
And the percentages that we're dealing with here are being applied on the dental side to a much smaller amount.
Yeah.
So it's a much smaller impact.
Yeah,
It's a matter of a few $1,000s versus.
total, yeah.
Tens and tens of thousands.
Did we get the motion on that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And the insurance rates.
Yeah, I think it's it's good, great news. For the viewing audience, with the life insurance and long-term disability for the district, 0% and 0% increase on life, minus 4.96 on long-term disability, and then 0 the following year. I think that's a pretty quick yes vote. But we need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion to approve the 2015-2016 non-public transportation reimbursement rate.
Again, this is where I laxed a little bit this time, and should have explained this to you in an email. What happens every year is we get from the state of Minnesota a total dollar amount for the Hastings School District of what we can pay to families who transport their students to a non-public school. And so if Dan Cater and Scott Gergen take their children to Cretin Durham Hall, if they take them to St. Thomas Academy, they can ask for reimbursement from us, right, Kim?
Yeah.
And so we never make money on this. What we do is we take the previous year's number of students and families that have accessed this pot, and we divide it by that number, and we give it out equally. And so that dollar amount, Kim just does the math, splits it, and then parents get reimbursed that amount. We don't have a fund balance here, but we also don't want to go in the hole here.
This looks like about the same amount as it was last year.
Yeah, it's usually pretty close.
I think it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty close because the state doesn't change it one way or another, and usually our students and families that use it are pretty consistent as well.
Is this something that we solicit actively to those families? Or is this something that those families that are choosing to go outside the district? Or is this something that those families
Great question.
to come to us?
Great question. Kim, do you know the answer to that? Do we communicate this very well to those families, or?
I can't really tell you that for sure.
Okay.
It's been in process for so long.
I'll follow up on that, though. I don't know if, once we find out that they've enrolled somewhere else, if we then send them a letter and tell them, or if it's their responsibility, but I'll follow up on that.
Send you one.
Okay.
Do we have anyone to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and then we have 3 resignations.
I'll make the motion for the 3 resignations.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and then we have a number of leaves.
The only one that I want to spend some time talking about is letting all board members know Tim Hasty Bambanex is a very unique situation. In my 22 years, I've maybe had 3 teachers come to me and say that they're looking to go on this type of leave, which is really, in Tim's case, retiring early. And in the state of Minnesota, you can pay into TRA, and the district can pay into TRA if you're on a 3 to up to 5-year leave. And it doesn't say that the district has to pay in our portion of the TRA and or pay for his portion of the TRA, but those are some options that are made available to school districts. So in Tim's situation, he's applied up to a 5-year leave because that 5 years will get him till rule of 90. And so in my meeting with Tim, what I said that the district would look to do is for the first 3 years of that, the district would pay our portion of the TRA, which is roughly $6,000 a year. And I justify that by some of the things that we've done with other teachers, but also the savings from a very veteran teacher, and the fact that Tim is also foregoing retiree health insurance because he won't have met the qualifications for that. So I just wanted to be public about that and once you make the motion and approve this, then Deanne and I and Kim will have some side letters that will outline that in writing with Tim and be signed off by the union so that they know it as well.
Anyone want to make the motion?
I'll motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And 2 retirements.
I'll make the motion on the 2 retirements.
I'll second.
Hate to be losing all these great people, but any discussion?
Well, the only thing that I want to share publicly is this now is going to create a unique situation in the fact that with Melanie, who's been doing 2 jobs in one, Director of Technology, have shared with you as a school board, I'm guessing we're the only school district in the state of Minnesota that has a person on stipend for Director of Technology. Most school districts our size have a full-time Director of Technology. So at a time when we're making reductions, and now we had somebody with great experience, expertise, and had done the job as a tech coordinator in another school district, we're faced with the decision of do we move forward now with a Director of Technology or Technology Coordinator from this point forward. And so I just wanted to share that publicly. I think that all of you understand and would agree that since Melanie even started doing this job 9 years ago for us, the responsibilities of the job have exploded over time because technology and the integration of technology has exploded. So I just wanted to share that publicly as well. I don't know for sure right now what direction we're going to go. I'm still dog paddling through some of those options, but I'll be talking to you about that in the near future.
That was the subject of some questions and answers at the high school.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Did we get the motion?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Any other additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion passes. A motion to approve the following changes in assignment.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And a motion to approve the termination of an employee.
I'll motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Upcoming dates. It's hard to believe we're getting towards the end of the year.
I know. I just want to remind the facility committee that we're meeting at 4 o'clock. So I'm probably going to, we're meeting at 4 o'clock with Scott McQueen, and Kelly Smith will be there from Springstead as well, along with Jim Uberity, myself, and probably Kim too. Actually, I don't know if she knows that yet, or, yeah, she does know that.
Is that on the 6th?
That's on the 6th as well. So I think we'll probably move that over to JFK as well, just out of convenience. So that starts at 4 o'clock. It'll probably go 2 hours. And so can everybody still make that? Who's on the facility?
Yeah,
What time you saying?
Starts at 4 o'clock.
Well, but
I'll
that's,
be there in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
that's as we were planning.
Yes, but I just wanted
Just
to,
just double check.
I was really saying this for you.
Are you still coming?
Yeah, no, I'm still gonna be there.
I was asking, can everybody come, but I was staring at you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourned.
Should we just assume that's gonna be at Kennedy?
Yeah,
Unless we hear differently.
let's just plan to have it at Kennedy.
Okay.
And I'll contact with Scott or I'll have Deanna contact Scott and Kelly and tell them.
Send them over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.